I was recently thinking about this, and I'm not really sure why I started thinking about if I was a freshman again, I would tell myself, but in reality, it's something I think about quite a bit. Like, what advice do I have for students that are entering college, that are entering high school, that are entering middle school or elementary school? Like, what is that advice? Has that advice changed since I've stepped out of the classroom or that I became a parent? A little bit of yes and no. I think a lot of how I value education and personal experiences has not really changed. But I also think that once you have experience of obviously being an adult, experience of being a parent, you start to value things a little bit differently. And so what I want to do is kind of look back on my journey when I entered high school and college and just think about those as like a new experience and say, you know what, if I was going to transport myself back in time, what are some things that I would write to myself to read and to think about? I don't have any regrets because one of my big things is like you make decisions and you move on. However, is there always some things you look back and you be like, man, I wonder if I could have done this more or done this maybe a little bit less? What would my life have turned out to be? And I don't know. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I do think that some people walk into freshman year kind of blind. Not really an idea of what they want to become and what they want to do. So I'm hoping that this video will give you a little bit of guidance and a little bit of direction to how to approach the next 4 years. But before I get started, I want you to know one thing. The next 4 years are going to be 4 years that you are never, ever going to forget. However, the next 4 years are also not going to be years that are going to decide or determine your fate. You can make any change at any time that you need to. Everything that I'm about to outlay in this video is all about balance. Do not take anything that I say or anything that you hear from one person over to an extreme. It's all about balance. You have to have perspective of your own life, of your own circumstances, and also realize that advice for one person might not be equally the same for somebody else. So take everything into context, but I do hope that some of the points that I can provide to you are going to give you some value if you're a freshman or not. The first thing that I think is the most important to any freshman to do is to be able to choose your friends wisely. Because I can't even tell you how many times I've known students that started freshman year, somehow for whatever reason found a different group of friends, and you could see the trajectory of their 4 years change for better and sometimes for worse. So make sure you understand who you're surrounding yourself with, because again, you're dealing with some pivotal years and some very, very important decisions can impact your life for a very, very long time. Like I said, you can change the crowd that you're hanging with, right? You can choose bad and you can choose worse, but I think it's really, really important to find the best people to be around with. A lot of times you can have lasting friendships. As a teacher, I've seen two people that go in completely different paths based on the friendships that they built. Their lives are completely different. The people that you hang around with is a good mirror of what your life is going to look like. So make sure you're choosing your friends wisely. Always try to choose friends that are going to support you and that are going to encourage you and make you a better person. And if you're not in that friends group or you have some good friends that you know are toxic, try to limit your time and your exposure to them. Always seek out people that are going to give you value in a relationship because it can make a huge difference for the rest of your life. Next thing is understand your decisions. All decisions have a consequence, a good or a bad. Now, you might not be a legal adult, or maybe you don't have legal responsibilities. So be careful on your decisions. I remember the year that I turned 18, my parents literally, it was like a switch turned on with them. Whatever they used to care about my curfew and care about whatever decisions I made, it was kind of like at that point, once I turned 18, they're like, oh, you're on your own. Up to this point, a lot of times as you're up to a freshman in high school, like everybody has been here supporting you and pushing you and guiding you through. And even in college, sometimes we get to that point and we're still being helped along so often. But the reality is when you enter in freshman as a high school, you're starting to become an adult. And when college, you're starting to prepare for the real world experience of to be left alone, make those decisions on your own. So just understand any decision that you make, you're going to have to be responsible for those consequences. I know it's fun sometimes to be stupid and to be silly and to think that we are invisible because a lot of times as we're a child, we kind of get the benefit of the doubt and things are kind of swept under the rug. But the reality is your decisions have consequences because unfortunately, sometimes the decisions that you make as a teenager can have an impact for you on the rest of your life. Be youthful, be energetic, have fun, but also understand that your decisions have consequences. You're old enough to now be held responsible. So it's very important that you understand the weight of that responsibility. I think one of the best ways to avoid making bad decisions is do age appropriate activities. I think it's such a fun thing that when we enter into freshman, we always want to be older. And then when you get to like my age, you're like, oh man, I wish I could go back. And so I think it's really important, like embrace the time for every single year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. It doesn't matter what you are. Be in a lane and stay in that lane. Don't try to do activities that are outside of your league. Enjoy your freshman year for being a freshman. Enjoy the sophomore year as a sophomore and junior and senior. All of those years throughout high school, throughout college, they all have their benefits. And I think it's really important to enjoy what we call these age appropriate activities in each of those years. Because I'm telling you, once those years pass and once you get older and older, you're always going to want to go back and be like, man, I wish I would have tried that, and like if we're always at this race of like, I just want to get out of high school. I just want to get out of college. I want to get into the real world. I want to move on to the next level. I want to get a job. We're always in a race. Slow down. Enjoy the moments that you're in and take advantage of what is in front of you. Don't feel like you have to move faster and faster because guess what? Once it's passed, that time has passed. Meet as many people as possible. You never know what relationships or what opportunities are going to come. I have everlasting relationships from people that I met through sport, in my classes, met in different groups and activities that I was a part of. And all of those relationships have brought value to my life. So I want you to treat every single opportunity to meet somebody, to build a relationship as an opportunity for future value. You never know when something might be able to provide value in a relationship. Make sure you're always providing other people value and creating those connections. And it is amazing from people that you know and they know other people and they have connections. You're going to imagine the larger web of influence. And the last piece of advice I have for you, freshmen out, is just remember, you are richer than anybody older than you. And you might be thinking, what do you mean I am richer than anybody older than me? How am I richer than anybody older than me? The younger you are, the more time you have to invest your money. So take a look at it. Compare investing now for how many years I have to invest my money compared to what you have. Take advantage of that opportunity. If you have some extra money or you're able to work a side job and then take that money, invest it for the long term. You will be amazed at the power of compound interest. And guess what? Just like memories and opportunities and relationships, they can pass if you don't take advantage of them. Your opportunity to invest over years and years will pass you as well. The older and older you get, the less and less time you have to invest your money. But also on the flip side of that, remember I talked about balance at the beginning of this video? It's all about balance. Take up some more of that money. Just have fun. And you need to. Do it for the memory. Do it for the opportunity to learn something. Because the important thing is now, over these next 4 years, I don't want you to focus on what is my life going to look like after 4 years. I want you to spend your time trying to identify, trying to get the most amount of those next 4 years. Find new experiences. Learn new skills. Think about the 4 years as 4 years for you to make the most out of your life. Don't think that your life is set, that you already know what's going to happen, or you know what your life is going to look like, or what you want to become after those 4 years. Forget about it all. Focus on the experiences. Focus on building and creating new skills. So therefore, after those 4 years, you're going to be one, have exposed to a whole new world. And two, you're going to have so many more new skills that more doors of opportunity are going to be available to you than you ever thought possible. As there's one thing I can tell you now is even though you want to plan and prepare and think this is what your life is going to become, you can't plan and prepare for your life. Events and circumstances that you are not planned for are going to change your life. You have to be prepared to adjust. And I think the best way for you to be prepared to adjust for the realities of life is to experience life now and build up a variety of different skills so that you're ready to make any change that you need to and go in any direction to make the most out of your life. So for those freshmen out there, enjoy those next 4 years. It's a heck of a ride. Cheers.